All right, so we've just come off a successful broadcast on CBS, for boxing. It's crazy because I remember I've been on here talking boxing through three different channels. It's my third one now, and and not only that, I even took hiatuses from YouTube to do podcasts and stuff like that. Shout out to Rope Radio and Hellstorm Sports and anybody else I did podcasts with. But I remember like since 2007, 2008, 2009, and I remember a lot of the channels talking about, man, we got to get boxing back to network TV, and even promoters would say it, and they have the opportunity to do it, but they never did it. De La Hoya talked about it all the time. Oh, we got to bring boxing back to network TV, but it was just too easy to sign a contract with HBO. It was just easy to just get the guaranteed upfront money. It was just easy to let's just make money off of this pay-per-view. That was just easy. And I get it. It was about making profits for Golden Boy. But now what? It didn't do anything for boxing. Nothing. But for the last few years, about 3 years or so, we've had boxing. What is it now? 2.5 years or so? That boxing made its comeback on network TV and on the regular and on several networks. And somehow, some way, after this whole time talking about, oh, we want it on network TV, we want it on network TV, right? I mean, one fight gets ratings that weren't so good, and all of a sudden, oh, it was a bad idea. We got to give it up. Let's just stop doing it. It's failing. It's going to fall apart, right? I mean, just one article about how PBC is losing money. That's it. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Let's just give up. Are you kidding me? Man, I know people that have started businesses and bars and clubs and stuff. And yeah, sometimes you take a risk and sometimes it doesn't work out. But sometimes, even when it does work out, you have to invest in it, right? And it sometimes you got to take a loss early, and then in the long run, it pays off. So I've always thought to myself, look, at worst, Al Heyman does not succeed. PBC does not succeed. But hey, we have a small run for a couple of years with fights on network TV. It's that I don't see how it's going to hurt anything. You know, but you get people that convince themselves and each other that it's terrible for boxing, and I can't believe this is happening, and it's just stupid. You know, and people just don't understand. Don't you understand that the old model is dying? There's people that have foresight for this stuff, and there's people that don't. Okay, most don't. Right? Most think, nah, it'll be fine. No, you have to have foresight for it. You have to be able to see 3, 4 years down the line, sometimes even a decade down the line, where the sport's going to be. And the writing was on the wall. Before PBC, the writing was on the wall. Boxing was on a decline. Things were dropping. There was, we had basically a sport that was driven by two pay-per-view stars that were Mayweather and Pacquiao, and internationally really pushed by like the Klitschko brothers in the heavyweight scene. And that's it. That's really all we had. We had some, small stars like Cotto in Puerto Rico, right? And now we have Canelo in Mexico. But that's all we had. I saw the writing on the wall. Everything I talked about, there was other channels that talked about it too. Blood boxing is one of them, right? I could give shout outs to guys like Joe Habib. And many of the things, it's not that we're Nostradamus. Not everything I predicted happened, but a lot of things happened, right? And I just started noticing trends. One trend was boxing, the boxing budget in a way on HBO, for example, was dropping every year, right? Every year, the boxing budget was dropping. The quality of fights were dropping. HBO was doing a disastrous job with its budget. It was easy to see. I mean, it's been dropping every year while inflation goes up. The value of the dollar lessens every year, and the budget is lowering every year. That's insane, right? And I honestly believe that we have to get away from the pay-per-view model. I think that that model, I have the foresight for it right now. It's gonna die, right? That model is gonna hit a screeching halt. It doesn't work for boxing. It does not work for the good of the sport. If you look at where the sport was when we started pay-per-view and where the sport is now when we're continuing with the pay-per-view, the sport has been declining as a whole. You cannot look at certain pay-per-view fights and say, well, look, I mean, we broke the record in 2015. What do you mean? Right. I'm talking about the popularity of the sport worldwide. You cannot measure the popularity of the sport with just one pay-per-view. You have to look at the totality of things. And in America especially, boxing has seen a decline. The pay-per-view model needs to die, and needs to die the sooner the better. Right now, there's some fragments of it. We're going to have to deal with Canelo fighting on pay-per-view. If Floyd comes back, it's going to be on pay-per-view. Pacquiao's going to be fighting on pay-per-view, okay? But that's the way that is, But in all honesty, it needs to die. I don't like that model, and we need to go back to boxing being broadcasted for millions and millions to watch. All right, that's what we need. That's what the sport needs. It needs more people to watch it. Network TV is perfect because bars get to show it. You get to watch it at home. Okay, I mean, you could watch it from anywhere. And that creates enthusiasm and more people watch it. A pay-per-view, even when it sells great, few people are watching it. And we've somehow been convinced that the pay-per-view model is the way to go. We've been brainwashed to believe that you cannot have a big fight unless it's pay-per-view. And pay-per-view benefits only the star fighters and the promoters. That's it. That's all it benefits. It doesn't benefit the sport. It doesn't benefit the fans. It doesn't benefit anyone. It benefits a small percentage of people. So I am an advocate of just this pay-per-view model going extinct. I think boxing should be broadcasted more and more on network TV, cable TV. I don't even want to see boxing on premium television anymore. I don't want to see boxing hiding itself over there on Showtime or HBO anymore. I think it needs to be on, the same channels that broadcast basketball, football, baseball. That's where boxing should be. And I'm sick and tired of boxing fans, saying, no, pay-per-view is the way to go, man. Really? It's the way to go? Look, I would bet anything that if the Super Bowl was on pay-per-view, it would break all records, right? Pay-per-view records. But far less people would watch the Super Bowl, right? Like if the NFL started hosting the Super Bowl every year on pay-per-view, over the years, the Super Bowl itself would become less and less popular, right? Even though it would be breaking pay-per-view records, but it would become less popular, right? Because right now, everybody watches the Super Bowl. My damn mother watches the Super Bowl, okay? Everybody watches this shit. But not everybody's going to pay to watch it, right? And if you put a fight on TV, if people know it's on, they're going to watch it. But not many people want to pay for it, right? It's just, there's a difference there. So tell me why CBS, Fox, NBC is not good enough for a big boxing fight, but it's perfectly fine for the Super Bowl. It's perfectly fine for the World Cup. It's perfectly fine for the NBA Finals. It's perfectly fine for the World Series. But for boxing, oh, a fight on CBS? People have become fucking zombies, man. You've been brainwashed to believe that it has to be pay-per-view to be big, right? When I was watching this fight on CBS, I was at a friend's house, and I think the first question he asked was, how much is the fight, right? And I thought to myself, I honestly thought, oh man, I can't wait till I tell him the fight's free, right? He's already talking about splitting the fight. And if I was there, I would split it, fuck it, right? But I'm thinking to myself, just picture me thinking to myself, I'm about to give him this great news. Like, bruh, this fight's free. It's on CBS, right? As soon as I told him that, for some reason, his interest in the fight dropped, right? Oh, so it's not a big fight. And I just sat there like, no, dude, this is going to be a good fight. This is the title holders, man. This is a unification fight. It is a big fight. Yeah, but it's not pay-per-view, though. Who wrote that? Who made up these rules that it's got to be pay-per-view for it to be a big fight? Who made these rules up? Who put these rules together? It doesn't have to be pay-per-view. Muhammad Ali didn't fight on pay-per-view. Are you kidding me? I told him, let's watch it. He went from, oh, there's a big boxing unification fight. Let's order it to, oh, okay, it's on CBS. All right. And like he watched it, but he kept asking me, like, why aren't they on pay-per-view? What, do you want to pay for it? What the fuck? Right? Does it matter? Right? The advertisers are taking the bill. Okay? All right, so they'll pay for it for you watching the ads. Okay? Calm down. No, but why aren't these guys pay-per-view? Like, this is annoying, man. Right? And look, I still, man, I have stories from when I was a kid. That's how I thought, right? That's how, because we grew up thinking that way, right? It's the way it is. I'll never forget. I was working out of town. I was a teenager. I was working out of town in Silver City I was working with my uncles. Okay, and I was maybe 13 years old, and Oscar De La Hoya was going to fight on HBO, right? Holy shit. I mean, my uncles were acting like boxing was taking a hit. Like there was something wrong with boxing because one of its biggest fighters or stars is fighting on HBO and not pay-per-view. Okay? Now, at the time, I didn't know this, but if I did, I would have said, you guys do know that Meldrick Taylor versus Chavez was not on pay-per-view. That was on regular HBO. Okay? until they convince all these idiots, right? All right. Until they convince a bunch of idiots called boxing fans that no, it's a big fight, and if it's a big fight, you gotta pay for it. You gotta pay pay-per-view for this shit. Are you kidding me? This was the greatest trick ever played. Okay, I blame Don King and all these, and it was smart of them. It's not. I'm not mad at them. Okay, I'm not mad at guys like Don King that made money off of the pay-per-view model. Like I don't hate them or something. Okay, but you have to acknowledge that they brainwashed a bunch of us to believe that a fight has to be pay-per-view for it to be big, for it to be significant. Okay, it's like we don't think normal. Like we don't think, oh, it's a title fight that makes it big. It's the best versus the best that makes it big. No. If it's on pay-per-view, it's a big fight. That makes it big. No. Okay? No, that's not what makes it a big fight. So the biggest challenge right now that PBC has, or anyone involved in boxing, all right, is number one. It's like ironic because they're not fucking buying the fights, right? This friend wouldn't have bought the fight. Okay, he didn't even know who these guys were, right? Because he's like not really followed boxing that much over the years, right? Just think about that. They're not buying the fights, but then like they want it to be pay-per-view for it to be a big fight. What the fuck? You see how like stupid they've made boxing fans, right? You see how we've been fucking. You see that mentality we have. We got to kill that mentality. It's a virus in our head. We got to get rid of it, right? Just take it out, man. You're in the. They put you in a fucking matrix, and you think it has to be pay-per-view. All right. So listen to me. We have to get rid of that mentality, and that's a challenge that they have right now. When people, for whatever reason, when people find out it's on free TV, instead of saying, "Oh hell yeah, a free championship boxing fight on fucking TV, hell yeah," no, they see it as like a downgrade. It's not even HBO. I'm going to quote one of my uncles, okay? When De La Hoya had fought on HBO, which was smart. Sometimes it's smart to give people something for free so you could create return customers and they come back even bigger. It obviously worked for him, but all right, I quote, "Oh, he's not even fighting pay-per-view no more. Look at this. They said he's a big star. He's fighting on HBO. What's next? What is he going to fight on Fox next?" Like I said, like it's a bad thing. Now I was 13 years old. I laughed because I agreed with him at the time. Okay, yeah, he's gonna fight on Fox. That looking back, that would actually been brilliant. Oscar De La Hoya in a title fight on Fox. You know how many people would have watched that shit? You know how much more popular boxing would be right now if there was never a pay-per-view model and it remained, okay, on Saturday afternoons, which now, since boxing gave that away for the pay-per-view model, college football took over that shit, so that's gone. Okay? But what about Saturday night? That's still available, especially certain times of year. That's gone. Right? And now, because there's so much more types of entertainment now. But do you know if it never relinquished its place in sports, boxing, it voluntarily relinquished its position with the other sports, and it put itself in a closet called pay-per-view, right? That's what boxing did. And HBO and Showtime are a closet in themselves as well. Because I'm telling you right now, you can't get pay-per-view, and you can't afford it if you don't have cable or satellite TV. You can't have HBO and Showtime, especially for a very long period of time, for 2 decades, 3 decades, unless you had cable or satellite TV. And that's the way it is. You build more and more layers. Okay, you built boxing built its own firewalls, right? It was no longer on free TV, so you needed cable. Oh, well, you're not just cable. I'm glad you subscribed to cable, but now you have to subscribe to HBO. Get to that. Oh, I'm sorry. There's another firewall. Now you got to pay for a pay-per-view. Of course, it was going to have a decline in popularity. Boxing would be far more popular right now if it never relinquished its spot with other sports and being on network TV. All right? A lot of time was lost. A lot of potential fans never became fans. Okay? Just think about a bunch of kids that they never got exposed to boxing. They got into other sports, football, basketball. That's what they watched. And that's it. Right? So that mentality needs to die. And I'll tell you right now, even in this video, I'm going to get boxing fans saying, no, but the pay-per-view, I mean, they want to make $100 million. I mean, they're talking about this like if they're making the money or something. Right? You're right. You won't have guys making $200 million on network TV, okay? Guess what? All these other sports like the NFL, NBA, MLB, you know what? They don't pay one guy $200 million, okay? But all those motherfuckers are millionaires, though. You see, that's the difference. Okay, so sure, one guy won't break bank and make $200 million, but you'll have dozens of fighters every year making, at the very least, $1 million a fight. So this idea that it's going to hurt the sport overall, it's going to hurt guys in Floyd Mayweather's position, okay? Now, not Floyd right now, but someone that could potentially be in that position. But it's not going to hurt the sport as a whole. And it's not going to hurt you either, okay? It's not. So with that said, I kind of see what's happening here. And we have to be able to foresee the future. And if we continue down this path, I believe anyway, we can get rid of this pay-per-view virus that's stuck in people's minds, right? And we can go back to just thinking like normal sports fans, okay? Like other sports fans do, right? Like you'll never hear a football fan say, ever, hey, how much is the Super Bowl? Well, it's for free. It's on Fox. What? Oh, really? It's for free? So it's not that big of a game, right? You see how stupid that sounds? Like, only boxing fans say that. And you have to ask yourself, why? I'm out.